Alright, how's it going, guys? It's your boy Big Zang here. We're gonna bring another video to y'all, and I want to talk about the fact that there's only one type of game mode in Dead by Daylight at the moment. They just recently added another one, but what I've heard from the grapevine is they're gonna be taking it off, and I'm kind of irritated about that. But let's talk about some other game modes that they could add to Dead by Daylight if they decide to take away the random perk generator. Alright, so the first game mode I was thinking about was one I saw on Reddit, and it was talking about a 5v5 game mode. Now, how this would work is there would be two different teams, both with 4 survivors, but there will also be one killer for each team. And the whole goal of the whole game is for their team to complete gens and the killers to prevent it, like normal game mode. But there are certain differences in this one. For example, now that each team has a killer, they can assist their survivors, and the survivors can help their killer in any way they can. Examples would be like survivors blocking windows for other survivors, or a killer blocking the door for another killer. Also, the opposing team can work on the other team's gens, but instead of repairing it, they can sabotage it to prevent it from completing as much. And there might be a need for cap on how much they can do this to the other team's gens. Now, for this to work, I think instead of 7 gens, there needs to be 10 divided by both teams. But instead of completing the normal 5, they only had to complete, I would say, 3, and it would make it more balanced, I believe, in many ways. The next game mode I would like to see them add to Dead by Daylight is a perkless mode. So they made a random perk mode. I would like to see a perkless mode, and it would alleviate a lot of what people get irritated with, and it's pure survivor skill versus pure killer skill, pretty much. Of course, the killer would still have their special abilities, but without the added perks, it can make it much more balanced for both teams. A random killer mode. There's been so many times where I might face the same killer over and over, and there's been many times where certain killers are never used. Like, I haven't seen the Hag in forever, but I feel like having a random killer mode could also make it more fun for especially survivors, getting fresh tastes of new killers a lot, and it's not going to be the same types of killers, the same OG, very hard to battle against killers. And the last game mode that I think would be pretty cool would be a hide and seek mode. So the typical way of playing Dead by Daylight is completing gens and trying to escape. This mode, there's no escaping. The killer can always see your aura when you're not in chase, and he can find survivors to attack, and the killer's goal is to try to terminate all the survivors as quickly as possible, and the survivor's job is to be the last one alive. So there might be a lot of survivors trying to hurt another survivor, or killer focusing on the weak ones, and it's just purely chase, and the games last as long as there's a chase. And I feel like that could be fun, just a different vibe to the game instead of the typical, oh, let's complete gens. Now, I could also see an issue with it being that if items are allowed in this game mode, then there could be a lot of surviving with friends just irritating a killer, and the game just keeps going and going and going. Maybe there needs to be a timer to try for the killer to try to beat, but I would like to see how it could be implemented in a game, or at least see how it would be, you know. Alright, so those are some game modes I would like added to Dead by Daylight. I hope they keep the Chaos Reshuffle on Dead by Daylight, but there's a huge possibility that it's not gonna stay. And if they add these game modes, I'll be fine with it, but just the same old Dead by Daylight over and over again, it will get boring for a lot of people. And if they want to branch out to other players, they need to focus on gameplay rather than killers and survivors and new perks and balancing all the time. They need to find new ways to entertain players. And now that's it for tonight. I hope you all have a good night. Bye bye.